When Ferrari's chief engineer of 14 years walked into the middle of the road in the path of an oncoming lorry and died, it was clear that things had gotten way out of hand. The sport has had its fair share of cheating over the years, but this was the most awful one yet. It came with severe punishments, nasty politics, fractures, and rising tensions across the sport. We had search warrants, arrests, and even an on-track war between Alonso and Hamilton. It's almost too tragic to believe. But this wasn't just a chapter in Formula One, it had deep roots that began long before the scandal broke. This is everything you need to know about Spygate, the biggest cheating scandal in Formula One history. Okay, to understand why things happened the way they did, we need to go back to the McLaren era and the man who ran it, Ron Dennis. McLaren's most successful decade began in the 1980s with the merger of Project 4 Racing and Ron Dennis. The team won 7 championships under legends like Senna, Prost, and Lauda. In the early 1990s, with Ayrton Senna driving, McLaren seemed poised to dominate Formula One for years to come. But then, Ron Dennis's era of glory hit a major roadblock. McLaren struggled for nearly a decade. One major challenge was Williams, who rose to the top with Adrian Newey's innovative designs and revolutionary active suspension. Things got worse when Honda unexpectedly pulled out, leaving McLaren scrambling for a new engine. A failed agreement with Renault and a disastrous 1994 championship with Peugeot deepened their problems. Then, in 1995, McLaren partnered with Mercedes. David Coulthard's victory in Australia in 1997 marked the beginning of a turnaround after a tough 1996 season. Things improved further when Adrian Newey joined in 1998, leading to 2 consecutive Constructors' Championships in 1998 and 1999. But McLaren had no idea these would be their last Constructors' titles for a long time. In the following years, Ferrari, Renault, and Fernando Alonso took center stage, leaving McLaren struggling to regain their former glory. In 2006, McLaren faced a major setback when Adrian Newey left for Red Bull. With pressure mounting and other teams racing ahead, getting McLaren back on top became Ron Dennis's top priority. They needed a competitive car and, most importantly, a stellar driver lineup. Enter Fernando Alonso, a 2-time world champion and Michael Schumacher's rival, and Lewis Hamilton, one of the best prospects in the sport. They were the perfect drivers to bet on. But the race wasn't just about competition on the track, it faced some serious outside interference. Enter Nigel Stepney, Mike Coughlin, Trudy Coughlin, and a very unsuspecting photocopy shop employee. Nigel Stepney, at the heart of this drama, played a crucial role in what became the biggest scandal in F1 history. Nigel Stepney, Ferrari's chief mechanic during their glory days with Michael Schumacher, found himself at the center of the Spygate controversy. Stepney wasn't just looking for a promotion, he believed he deserved one. When the legendary team lineup of Schumacher, team principal Jean Todt, technical director Ross Brawn, and chief designer Rory Byrne broke up in 2006, Stepney felt he was left with unmet promises. At the end of 2006, Schumacher announced his retirement, saying,
"I've decided together with the team that I'm going to retire from racing."
This was a turning point for Stepney. He believed he played a key role in turning Ferrari into an F1 powerhouse and felt disappointed by the lack of career advancement. In response, Ferrari announced a new role for Stepney as head of team performance development. Despite being reassigned, Nigel Stepney's frustrations and ambitions set the stage for one of F1's most infamous scandals. Ferrari decided to move Stepney to a role that didn't require attending races, a polite way of telling him to get out. Feeling betrayed, Stepney became Ferrari's worst nightmare. Secretly, he broke into the Ferrari factory and stole 780 pages of sensitive documents, including schematic drawings, technical reports, pictures, and financial information for the 2007 Ferrari. He then handed these documents to his trusted associate, Mike Coughlin, McLaren's lead designer. The plan began to unravel when Mike Coughlin's wife, Trudy, walked into a coffee shop with the stack of 780 pages. She asked the clerk to scan the documents onto 2 CDs. Normally, this wouldn't raise any eyebrows, but the pages were emblazoned with Ferrari's iconic prancing horse emblem. The clerk, a die-hard Ferrari fan, sensed something was off. He asked Trudy for her name, and when she left, he Googled her. He discovered she was Mike Coughlin's wife, the lead designer for McLaren's Formula One team. Alarmed, he found Stefano Domenicali, Ferrari's sporting director, online. "Dear Mr. Domenicali," the clerk typed, revealing the strange story of the woman with what seemed to be highly classified Ferrari documents. Domenicali found the message the next morning in his email. Meanwhile, Trudy received the 2 CDs a few days later and, following Mike's instructions, destroyed the original documents to eliminate the evidence. But little did she know, the time bomb had already started ticking. This story gets even juicier when you find out Nigel Stepney was suspended by Ferrari a month earlier for allegedly trying to sabotage one of their F1 cars. Italian police were also investigating him, stirring up rumors and accusations of sabotage and espionage. Stepney denied everything, but the allegations stuck with him. Battles erupted in Italy and the UK, as well as within F1 authorities. It was eventually determined that Mike Coughlan acted alone. But the stolen data had spread within McLaren. Despite clearing up some doubts, the consequences were brutal. McLaren was fined $100 million and disqualified from the Constructors' Championships for using the stolen information. Max Mosley, fueled by a long-standing grudge, wanted to hit Ron Dennis hard enough to potentially expel him from motorsport. The second hearing, however, brought the drivers into the spotlight. Fernando Alonso joined McLaren expecting to be the #1 driver and a title contender, a promise made by Ron Dennis. Meanwhile, rookie Lewis Hamilton burst onto the scene with a sensational start to his career. The stage was set for an epic showdown, with both drivers entangled in one of the biggest scandals in F1 history. Lewis Hamilton's incredible speed and competitiveness threw the McLaren team into chaos. He was never meant to overshadow Fernando Alonso, but his unexpected success created tension. Alonso was frustrated too. He felt that being against a British driver in a British team led by a British boss could push him into a secondary role. The tension hit a peak at the Monaco Grand Prix. Ron Dennis mishandled the aftermath of a 1-2 finish with Alonso leading the race. Hamilton felt he was denied the chance to challenge Alonso, straining their relationship further. The Hungarian Grand Prix later that summer made things even worse. During qualifying, Hamilton broke an agreement to let Alonso pass, ruining Alonso's chance at pole position. Furious, Alonso took matters into his own hands. In one of F1's most shocking moments, he delayed in the pit lane, blocking Hamilton from completing his final qualifying lap. Ron Dennis was livid, and Alonso received a 5-place grid penalty for race day. By August 5th, tensions had exploded. Alonso confronted Dennis in his motorhome, reportedly threatening to reveal incriminating emails involving McLaren's test driver, Pedro Della Rosa, and the controversial Mike Coughlan to the FIA. Max Mosley later recounted how Dennis initially downplayed the threat, assuring him there was no substance to it. Let's cut to the chase. Dennis had underestimated both the situation and his star driver. Alonso's threats were real, and the most expensive scandal in sporting history was about to explode. On September 5, 2007, the FIA announced new evidence had emerged. Instead of a routine appeal hearing, the entire case would be reopened on September 13th. The smoking gun was a collection of driver emails sent to Bernie Ecclestone, the commercial rights holder of F1. Alonso had followed through on his threats, leading the FIA to summon Alonso, Della Rosa, and Lewis Hamilton. They were promised immunity if they were transparent. The stage was set for high drama on September 13th. At the pivotal hearing, team stakeholders waited anxiously. The outcome was a shocking blow. McLaren was disqualified from the 2007 Constructors' Championship and fined a record $100 million. Internally, McLaren was in chaos. Unknown to the public, Alonso had already planned to join Ferrari for the 2008 season, cutting short his time with McLaren. The wheels were in motion, and everything was falling apart. Thanks to Bernie Ecclestone's lobbying and cooperation from the drivers, Hamilton and Alonso kept their points, keeping the title race alive. Heading into the Chinese Grand Prix, Hamilton was 12 points ahead of Alonso. He started on pole, but things got tense when he accused the crew of lowering his tyre pressure. Despite leading initially, Hamilton fell behind when rain hit due to strategic mistakes and damaged tyres. Kimi Räikkönen seized the opportunity and won, with Alonso finishing second, setting up a thrilling three-way showdown in Brazil. As the Brazilian Grand Prix approached, fan excitement was off the charts and F1 ratings soared. McLaren faced a unique situation with an FIA representative ensuring equal treatment for both cars, due to Alonso's sabotage claims. The race started with Hamilton dropping to third, and disaster struck when he lost all gears on lap 8. Despite an incredible fightback and an amazing season, Hamilton's championship dreams crumbled. McLaren's strategy couldn't save the day. Kimi Räikkönen claimed victory with Alonso finishing third. Both McLaren drivers ended the season with equal points, but Kimi edged them out by 1 point, securing the driver's title for Ferrari. If you're enjoying this deep dive into the biggest F1 scandal, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more thrilling content. McLaren's series of blunders left everyone puzzled. In December, the FIA dropped the investigation into McLaren's 2008 chassis. The best hint of sabotage came in 2012 when Hamilton, asked about Spygate, said, "I didn't know at the time, but I do now. It's not something I can talk about," suggesting a strategic game by Dennis and McLaren to keep the FIA off their backs. Before the 2007 season's controversy settled, McLaren accused Renault of possessing sensitive info about their 2007 car. A December 6th hearing found Renault in breach of the sporting code, but they escaped penalties for unclear reasons. An Italian court also weighed in on Spygate. Nigel Stepney was sentenced to 1 year and 8 months for sabotage, industrial espionage, sporting fraud, and attempted serious injury. The FIA labelled him persona non grata, warning teams against hiring him without thorough checks. Stepney never returned to F1, working in motorsports for only a few more years before his tragic death on May 2nd, 2014, when he was hit by a lorry on the M20 motorway, seemingly by his own will. What could have driven him to do this? Did Spygate haunt him, or were darker forces at play? Only Nigel Stepney knew the answers. For the teams, the fallout was intense. Mercedes, McLaren's partner and engine supplier, took a heavy hit with a $40 million penalty. The relationship soured further when Ron Dennis decided to build the MP412C, McLaren's second road car, against Mercedes' wishes. 2009 was a tough year for McLaren. They started with their least competitive F1 car in years and ended with a disappointing season. The championship slipped away, ultimately secured by Brawn GP after Honda's exit. Ross Brawn took charge and saved the team. Mercedes wanted their own team, more visibility, and total control. They needed McLaren's consent to end the exclusive alliance, and they got it. This paved the way for Mercedes' dominance starting in 2014. McLaren's landscape changed dramatically post-2010. Despite being title contenders in 2010 and 2012, their competitive edge dwindled by 2013. By 2014, McLaren was trailing by 2 seconds. The loss of Mercedes engines in 2015 marked the start of a rocky partnership with Honda, which ended in 2017, when Ron Dennis was ousted after a fallout with longtime partner Mansell Oje. Under new leadership, McLaren started a comeback. Since 2021, they've been using Mercedes engines again. They won a race in 2021, breaking a 9-year dry spell, but McLaren is still far from the dominant force it once was. All of this chaos stemmed from a series of events triggered by one man, Nigel Stepney, who is no longer here to explain why he started the biggest scandal in F1 history. Ready for more excitement? Click on the next video to explore more legendary and current F1 races. See you there!